So I generally don't care much about sports games, but when it comes to the Mario ones, they're generally pretty unique and distinct. So I thought it's about time to count down the 10 best ones. Bada boom! This list is based off of how fun the games are as well as how varied they are. So without further ado, let's go! Does anyone even remember Mario Tennis on the 3DS? I certainly didn't hear much about it, even at the time of its release. It's your standard tennis game, and the pacing of each match feels just right. The game doesn't run too fast or too slow. For a handheld game, the controls feel very modern and crisp, which I greatly appreciate. Something that's interesting to Mario Tennis Open are the chance shots. If your opponent rebounds poorly, a small colored area spawns on your side and tells you exactly what type of shot to do. While it's an interesting idea, it does kind of defeat the purpose of really playing a game of tennis. Normally you have to think ahead and strategize where to hit the ball and at which angle, but chance shots take away a lot of those elements, and unfortunately there's no way to disable them. So unless you're playing with a human player, the matches can get a bit tedious, which thankfully you can play with humans since there's local and online play, but it's still a bit baffling you can't turn chance shots off. With that said, I personally don't mind them, and that's just one part of the game. You've also got a full-fledged tournament mode as well as 4 different special games. Most Mario sports titles either have an extremely interesting gimmick in their core game, or they have standout minigames. Ring Shot has you hitting balls through rings, Galaxy Rally you try to collect star bits while the tiles disappear, and Ink Showdown you have to return balls without your opponent hitting them back. I did leave out one of those games, which is the reason Mario Tennis Open is in this top 10 at all, and that is Super Mario Tennis. In this minigame, a level from the original Super Mario Bros. Scrolls through, and you're able to whack Goombas, break blocks, and even go down pipes with your tennis ball. This has to be the most bizarre way I've ever played tennis, and I absolutely love that this is a thing. There's a good amount of characters and stages to pick from, but nothing too obscure. You can also unlock skins for characters via QR codes, which, I mean, why not? All in all, this is a good Mario Tennis, but it doesn't compare to what's coming up. If you've never played this title, first off, I don't blame you, but second off, I imagine you're confused. The third iteration of the Mario and Sonic Olympic minigame compilation? Why pick this one? And you know what's weirder? I almost picked Mario and Sonic at the Olympic Winter Games on the DS instead, because that hidden gem has a full-blown story mode on top of several minigames. And while that's great and all, you just can't go wrong with the Dream events in London 2012. Dream Spacewalk has you flying through Mario Galaxy, passing through rings to attack Dino Piranha. For Dream Equestrian, you're trying to keep eggs in a basket while in a fantasy version of Moo Moo Meadows. Dream Discus, we fly around Windy Valley trying to collect the most rings. Dream Sprint has us running down Bingo Highway from freaking Sonic Heroes. That is why I adore this game. The Dream events were filled to the brim with fan service and just trying to be as fun as possible. I mean, how often do you see sports games actively going out of their way to do this on top of having the actual sports? And there are plenty of those too. You've got your standard athletic events, gymnastics, swimming, table tennis, skeet, and the whole shebang. While a lot of those games aren't super fun to play for long periods of time, the sheer amount of variety will keep you fairly busy. And my god, the music just absolutely slaps. They're not quite as good as the newer games, but they'll definitely have your toes bopping when nobody's looking, if you know what I'm saying. Seriously, if there's one Mario and Sonic game to play, try out this one, or the Winter Olympic Games on the DS. They're both pretty good. We've done it. We have reached the beginning of the peak of Mario sports greatness, starting off with Super Mario Strikers. Soccer games are generally slow going, but also suspenseful because one shot can take quite a long time to happen. But Mario Strikers takes the typical 11-person team and shrinks it down to 5. Not only does this make passing and shooting a bit simpler, but it also improves the pacing. One of the best aspects of this game is the incredible art style. I mean, just look at this. The team captains and sidekicks are drawn in this really gritty style that's so interesting to look at. It gives off this intensive, powerful feeling, and it makes me wish that Nintendo would experiment more with these kinds of art styles. As for the game itself, it's a great game of soccer, but now without a referee. That means players can kick and hit each other, the walls are electric fences, and you have the ability to throw items on the field. These items include things like bananas, green and red shells, chain chomps, mushrooms, you name it. The power-ups can only be obtained when a player tries to make a goal, level, so it's not like they're this massive annoying obstacle. And heck, you can turn off the items entirely if you really want. The hecticness of the game is a huge draw and adds this strange layer of authenticity. You've also got super strikes, which are super abilities for team captains. These allow you to take extremely powerful shots at the goal, and you get double points if you score. On top of that is a decent amount of fields and a single player mode where you compete to collect cups and trophies. There's a couple of other game modes too, but they're just slightly different variations of the main game, which isn't a bad thing. But there was also a sequel to Mario Strikers, which we may or may not get to later. Next up is a game I didn't play till I was a lot older, but man, I wish I played it when I was a wee little lad. One thing that gives the GameCube title so much charm is the intro cutscenes. They're just so expressive and well choreographed and are such a joy to watch. I mean, honestly, these cutscenes probably only exist to show off the GameCube's power, but I really miss seeing stuff like this. Besides that, you're not gonna believe this, but for this game, you play f***ing baseball. There's the exhibition mode where you can play against the CPU or another person, and right away, I'm impressed with the massive roster. There's a good amount of team captains to pick from, but the fact that the main team players are all unique and different is mind-boggling. I would have expected to play with a bunch of Toads or something, but no, there's multiple Mario characters, each with specialized stats. And even better, some characters have alt costumes. Look, I know I sound crazy raving about characters, but that's what brings Mario sports games to life. Being able to control a large variety of characters is simply awesome. I mean, seriously, look at any modern game today. Alt costumes are considered new characters, but I'm not going to get into that again. And as another fun note, each character has their own bat. Hell, Petey Piranha just uses his arm to hit balls, which is so stupidly hilarious. And the actual gameplay is very solid. The pacing is a touch slow, but it is baseball after all. It just feels right when you're either throwing or smacking the baseballs around the field. I haven't played a lot of baseball games, but I definitely get down with this one. There's also this feature called Star Skills, which can be charged up while playing. It allows characters to use specialized skills, such as Mario throwing a fireball. It's a nice subtle way to freshen up the gameplay. There's also a toy field mode where everyone takes turns batting, and the field has many differing spaces. Something about this mode is strangely addicting, and I can't quite put my finger on why. On top of all that is loads of minigames like Bob-Omb Derby, Chain Chomp Sprint, Wall Ball, Star Dash, and more. All of them are a ton of fun to play, and honestly, the only downside to Mario Superstar Baseball is the stadiums. There's only 6 of them, which isn't a lot, but they do all look very distinct from one another. It's too bad that we've only seen one additional Mario Baseball game, which was on the Wii, and that one was also pretty decent. Like the other two GameCube titles, the opening is absolutely stunning. I love the focus on heroes versus villains, where Mario and friends keep playing well and getting trophies, while Waluigi and Wario are the worst golfers of all time. I mean, seriously, watching all these dynamics clash together in this cutscene is the perfect way to introduce a golf game. It gets you all excited and giddy for some golfing action. And the gameplay delivers with over 100 holes to pick from. That's right, over 100 holes in one golf game. There's several different courses with 18 holes each. I mean, the sheer amount of variety is just crazy, and each course has its own distinct theme as well. You've got the basic Lekatu Valley, to shifting sands, and even Congo Canopy. The character roster is also a fun treat, and there's some really obscure picks like Shadow Mario and Petey Piranha. It makes sense since Mario Sunshine was the big Mario game at the time, so it's cool seeing stuff like this. As for the actual game, it's very customizable and a lot of fun. You can either hit the ball automatically, or you can go manual to apply topspin or backspin. It's easy to move the camera around to align your shots, and I love hearing the "nice shot" soundbite when you hit the ball perfectly. Another fun touch is each character having different animations depending on how well they played. Now, I know this isn't uncommon or anything, but they're just so well done in this game. Beyond golfing is, get this, golfing minigames. Yeah, you've got ring shot where you'll have to hit your ball through rings in the air. Then there's coin shoot where you'll hit balls near coins to collect them. And there's additional game modes that boil down to variations of the main game. The sheer amount of courses on top of the single player and other modes give Toadstool Tours so much replay value. You could spend hours and hours finding your favorite characters and perfecting each hole. While I enjoy my games of golf, I slightly prefer tennis, and Mario Power Tennis hella delivers. Once again, the cutscene is a joy to watch, and it's probably one of the best in comparison to the others we've talked about. Wario and Waluigi seriously have a vendetta against Mario and Luigi, and it's just great. When they see the brothers on the tournament sheet, they draw goofy faces essentially vandalizing the sheet. It just goes to show their immaturity and lack of judgment when the cops immediately notice their undoings. As for the actual game, there is an immense number of courts and characters. Some standout characters include Wiggler and Fly Guy, and as a side gesture, it's nice how each GameCube sports game has had different obscure characters. There's also plenty of courts to pick from, each of them drastically different. A lot of them have gimmicks, like Bowser's Castle Court tilts around and Luigi's Mansion has ghosts. And like all great games, these gimmicks can be turned on and off fairly easily. The actual game of tennis feels satisfying, as there's plenty of different types of shots you can make. You've got items that you can use while playing, which again can be turned on and off. The amount of customization goes to the length that Smash Bros does, and I just love that. But wait, there's more. You've also got several special games, which are a fun compilation of minigames. There's Artist on the Court, Gooper Blooper Volley, Balloon Panic, Terror Tennis, Coin Collectors, and several more. Like Toadstool Tour, there is an immense amount of things to do and unlock, and I just prefer whacking balls with a racket instead of a bat. Really, these two games could be interswapped. Are you a fan of Super Mario Strikers? Well, I've got some good news for you. Mario Striker Charge takes everything you loved about the first game and amplifies it to another level. The gritty, dark tone returns and is actually more dramatic than before. For starters, the soccer ball isn't even a ball anymore. It's literally made of metal. That is the most metal thing I've ever heard of. There's also more team captains to pick from, as well as many more stadiums. In fact, every stadium from the first game can be played on top of the new ones. I love when games bring back legacy content like this. It's such a fulfilling kind of vibe. And can we just real quick talk about Galactic Stadium? It's literally a chunk of metal floating around in space. There aren't even seats for fans. This is just a fun tribute to Mario Galaxy coming out on the same console. Now, if you thought the gameplay was intense before, Strikers Charged really kicks it up a notch. Team captains now have super abilities, which are basically character-specific items. The super strikes have also been super enhanced. A golf meter pops up, and if you hit everything just right, your character flies into the air in the most dramatic way possible to hit the ball into the goal. The better your golf meter timing, the more goals you can possibly score. And while the online mode isn't around anymore, it used to be an amazing time and is one of the few Mario sports games that I can say was worth playing online for. It's time to see another Mario Strikers on the Switch. You'd love to see it. If you had to classify golf as a genre, how would you do it? Well, let's consider what the game truly is. The objective is to get your ball in the hole with as few shots as possible. You do this by taking turns, swinging a club at a golf ball. With that known, you could consider this game to be a turn-based RPG. And lo and behold, that is exactly what Advanced Tour's story mode is, a fully fledged RPG. You create a custom character, and you work your way through the rankings to be the best golfer. You're able to level up, customize your stats, and unlock characters and courses. When you're not playing golf, you go around the fields like a hub world and can talk to other NPCs, which a lot of them have interesting and meaningful things to say. The story mode really gives you something to strive for. You truly feel like you're accomplishing something as you get better and better. The fact that all of this is for a Mario game is astounding. You never would have expected it. The actual game plays really well too. The only weird thing is that putting is fairly easy to do. You can overshoot your putt and it will probably go in regardless. And there's a weird lack of Mario characters, but in a way that almost makes them more impactful. Because they're the final challenge in the game, facing them feels more rewarding in a sense. Even with a massive story mode, there's additional modes to play too. Such include club slots, speed golf, and go-go gates. I personally really like club slots because you could only use a couple of clubs per hole, and they're selected via a slot machine. So it really forces you to change up your strategy as you go along. Now, if you're not the biggest fan of golf, there's another game that's extremely similar to this one that might be up your alley. Like Advanced Tour, Mario Tennis Power Tour is another fully fledged RPG where its combat revolves around tennis matches. There's not much more I can really add without repeating myself from Advanced Tour, besides the fact that there were also Game Boy Color versions of Mario Tennis and Golf. These versions were also RPGs, but on the GBA, they're kind of like enhanced versions with prettier graphics, tighter controls, and catchy music. The developer Camelot did make Golden Sun after all, so it's really awesome to see them take their experience with RPGs and blend it together with tennis. The gameplay is very tight and delightful. Now, I don't know if I'd say the gameplay is as good as Tennis Aces or Power Tennis, but it plays perfectly fine to me. Again, there's not a lot of Mario characters, but it doesn't matter all that much. And my god, there is a boatload of mini-games to play. Some of them include treadmill, bicep pump, duck walk, rock climb, etc, etc. There is so much to unpack from this game, and if RPGs were my favorite genre, it might be number one. But somehow, some way, there's another Mario sports game that manages to topple this. I don't understand why or how this game is so goddamn fabulous. Not only is this Mario's first attempt at a basketball game, but it's also almost completely touchscreen based and only has 6 players on the court at a time. The way that you dribble the ball is by tapping the screen. You'll also use the touchscreen to shoot, pass, quick dash, steal, jump steal, and complete special shots. Now, yes, I know that sounds like a disaster, but it's not in the slightest. The controls are so intuitive and fluid that you don't even realize you're using them half the time. All the tapping and swiping happens in real time, and that truly immerses you inside the game. There's really nothing quite like it. The fluidity alone makes this the best Mario Sports title. But then there's the character selection. Firstly, I love the detailed pixel art as well as the hand-drawn cartoons of everyone, but there's also Final Fantasy characters. That's right, Final Fantasy characters are unlockable. You would never expect this kind of collaboration, especially back when this game came out before Smash Bros. Spoiled our expectations. The special shots are a blast to pull off too. Each character has specific commands that you have to tap. There's a big reward to taking the time to complete the command and get a lot of points, but you also leave yourself vulnerable to getting the ball stolen. There's plenty of unlockable basketballs as well, which adds a lot of replay value. While the story mode isn't an RPG, I still had such a blast with it. And it actually gets pretty challenging by the end. The courts are extremely varied, some of them having different properties like floatier jumps, or the hoop being Petey Piranha, which means no slam dunking or the plant will snap you back. But yeah, I can come back to this game whenever and just have the time of my life. Here's to hoping that Nintendo decides to add charm and extra content to their sports titles in the future. Like that'll ever happen. But that's about that. Let me know what your favorite Mario sports games are down in the comments. Thank you all so much for watching, and I hope you had a great day. I'll see you guys in the next one.